Hi, Tracy here. Are you one of the 44% of Australian small business owners that don't have a website? No, well, don't be worried, because there are some steps that you can take to get a website without spending more money than you need to, and I'll cover that today with some planning steps that you can take. Now, the first thing we have to do is get the elephant out of the room. No, Facebook is not a suitable substitute for a website these days. It's great to have a Facebook page, but you need a home base. Now, there's a saying that goes around the digital marketing space saying, don't build your business on rented land. And we all know what happened to MySpace. So if you put all that effort into building a great Facebook page, which is great to do, but you don't own it, Facebook could pull the rug right out from under you. So you really do need to have a website. A Facebook page is not going to be enough for your business in this day and age. I have people coming to me all the time. They're just about to pay their census bill, and you know, a lot of small businesses are paying thousands of dollars to list in the Yellow Pages, yet they don't even have a website. That's all shifting at the moment. People aren't picking up the Yellow Pages anymore to search for businesses. They're searching on their mobile phone, on their desktop computer. They're searching the internet for products and services that they need. So you need to be online. So let's get that clear. The next thing is, you know, with being a small business, I know that it's hard to get started. So here are some steps. The first thing you want to do is think about the purpose of your website. Are you happy for it to just be a brochure website where it lists your information about you and your business and about the products and services? That's what we call a brochure site. Or are you an expert in your industry and you want to build awareness and credibility? Then a blogging website would be really great for you. Now, I highly recommend that every website have a blog, but some people will just have a blog. If you're a journalist or an industry leader, or maybe you work for someone else and you want to start building your online presence, then a blogging site would be great for you. The other type of website is an e-commerce site. So do you want to actually sell products and services directly from your website and take the money into your bank account from your website? Then that will be an online shop, and you will need an e-commerce website for that. The next type of site that we'll look at today is a membership site. Now, a membership site is where you give away for free or you sell access to material on your website. So it might be a membership area that you put content, or it might be an online course that you sell to your website visitors. So that's called a membership site. So there's 4 basic types of sites that new business owners getting online will need to think about. So if you can think about what you need now and what you need in the future, it will make it easier to grow. So you don't need to put a membership site on or an e-commerce site on right now, though you might think you'll use those in the future. If you plan it out well, you can spend a smaller amount of money now and then add those components on later. So the next thing you need to look at is plan. So sitting down with a piece of paper and a computer, obviously, because you want to do some research. So plan out the pages that you want on your website, how you think it might flow through, maybe even some ideas on content and images, just to get it on paper, get it out of your head and on paper. Then go and check out some websites. Now, they can be competitors' websites, or they can be any other industry. What you're looking for is ideas on look and feel. So if you have an idea of how you'd like the website to be laid out, and how people will navigate through your website, just get some ideas and copy down those URLs, the web addresses of those websites that you like, and make a list and say, I like navigation in this one, I like the sidebar in this one, I like the pop-up in this one. So if you put that all down onto your plan, then you've got something, on paper. So the next thing you need to look at is your budget. How much money do you want to spend on your website? Now remember, building a website is an investment in an asset. It's not an expense. Even the yellow pages, I've heard people keep buying the ads because they know that they hold that position in future books. So with a website, you're building something that is an asset that will work for your business. So think about how much money you can afford to put in it. If you're paying for yellow pages, you really need to put as much money as you do into yellow pages into your website, because your website will work a lot harder and give you more results than the yellow pages ad. So I would suggest starting off small. You can start off with a basic website for, say, budget $2,000. That will get you a really good, nice entry-level website. But if you wanted an e-commerce or membership site added to that, I would say double it, say $4,000. Just as a ballpark figure, because you'll need also, graphic work, depending on if you've got all your own graphics and product photos and that as well. So, an entry-level website, a brochure site about $2,000, and an e-commerce or membership site about $4,000. That'll give you an idea. Now, obviously, you'll be able to get, lower if your plan isn't that complex. The next step 4, is decide if you're going to create it yourself. Oh my God, you're all probably saying, oh no, I don't know how to do that. No, it's easier than you think. Or are you going to outsource it? Now, if you're a small business owner and you don't have a lot of capital and you've got time, then I think it's a great idea for you to learn how to create your own website. I think there will come a time, very near future, where creating websites, creating online presences, will actually be a skill like typing. Remember when typists were trained to type, nobody else typed, and now it's a skill that everyone uses and knows. And I think that's what's happening now with social, and what will happen with websites eventually. It will be a normal skill that we have, like reading, writing, creating websites. It sounds far-fetched, but I think that's where we're heading now. So now that you've got your plan and you've got your budget, send that off to a couple of web developers if you're going to go that way, and get them to quote. Now, because you've given them the plan and some examples of what your website will that you want your website to look like, they will be able to come back with a better idea of a quote for you. Now, another thing that I suggest is let them know your budget, because if you don't let them know what your budget is, they will go full scale. They will go Taj Mahal when you really need a garden shed. And if your website is small and you only need a garden shed, only pay for a garden shed, there's going to be no added benefit if you spend a lot of money creating a huge website that isn't going to be effective. A garden shed can be as effective as the Taj Mahal for your business. So yeah, give them the budget you have so that they can work into that budget and give you exactly what you need for that amount. So if you're going to go off and, it's a good exercise to send off your brief and your budget off to web developers and get their quotes. But if you're thinking about doing it yourself, there's a couple of things that I recommend you do. One is self-host, and that means you go and sign up for hosting, or the person that you're going to contract this out to will sign up for hosting in your name. That's your block of land on a web server that's attached to the internet. You own that, or you're renting it from the server, obviously, but you have total control over that. That's called self-hosted. Now, if you go to websites, which I highly recommend you avoid, websites like Wix or Weebly or WordPress.com, they're called hosted sites, which means you're renting a website on their website. And there's problems with that, is that they're very restrictive. They control everything. You lose control. And then they're very restrictive. So if you want to add functions or features, then it's a lot harder to do. So I highly suggest that you go self-hosted. Now, if you're going self-hosted, I highly suggest that you use a framework called WordPress.org. So WordPress.org is like the frame of a house. You will take WordPress.org and put it on your self-hosted account that attaches, or server that attaches to the internet. So that's the frame of your website. And then you can customize it and add content. So the framework, I suggest WordPress.org, and it's free. So that's an added bonus. The great thing about being self-hosted and using a platform like WordPress is that you will own that whole package and you can take it with you wherever you go. You're not tied to one developer or one designer. The other great thing with WordPress.org as a framework is that it's very flexible. And you know how I was talking about before, thinking about how your website will grow with your business. WordPress is great because they have things called plugins, and those plugins allow you to add on features. So you can start off with a normal brochure website and then add on a shop or add on a membership site without having to start again, which you would have to do with a lot of other platforms that you use, that web developers use. It's not as simple as just adding on extra functions. So that's why I would suggest self-hosted and WordPress.org. Step 5 is design. Now, in step 2, I got you to do a bit of research and look at other people's websites and think about how you want the look and the feel to be. So this part now is designing. Is if you're employed a web designer, they will probably send you half a dozen designs to pick from, and then you customize. Then you work with them to customize those templates. With WordPress.org, if you go the DIY route, then you will buy a theme. A theme is like a skin that goes over the framework, and if you can pick a theme that's very close to how you want your website to look and feel, it's not a huge job. It's time consuming, but it's not a huge job to actually customize it with your logo, your colors, your images. Now, for a first website, that's all you need. You don't need to go flash. By picking a template, it's an easy process, and like I said, it's just time consuming. Step 6 is build, and this is where the developer will work with you to build your website. Now, I highly suggest, if you're working with a designer or a developer, to be as explicit as you can in the conversation or correspondence. They can't read your mind. So if you have specific thoughts about your website, let them know. Give them examples, even if it's just a sketch on a piece of paper and then you take a photo of it and email it. Make sure that you give them as much or even more information than they need to get the job done, because the expense of getting a professional to do your website is the back and forth. It's not the build as such. It's the web developer and the web designer chasing you, the customer, for content and then waiting for that content. If you can put it all together and be as explicit as you can in the first instance, it will save a lot of heartache in the long run. Now, if you're going the DIY route and you're building it yourself, well, this is where you'll take your theme and you'll put in your logo and you'll set in your colours and start uploading your images and your content and that sort of stuff. Now, there are heaps of tutorials on the website that covers tutorials on how to do that. And most themes that you buy will actually come with fairly extensive documentation to help you out. So after the build, step 7 is test. You want to test every page, every link, every form on a PC, on a mobile, on your friend's mobile. Test it and test it and test it. Now, if you've got an online store as well, an e-commerce function on your website, do some purchases yourself. Pretend to be a customer so you can see the flow. You can see what emails come through, the automatic email notifications that come through, and the process of registering for an account. So you can see what a customer does. It's amazing how many businesses just say, here, put up an online store, yet they never actually test the process themselves, so they can't help out their customers when they're trying to buy online and there's a problem. So test and do some test purchases. So once you're happy, then step 8 is launch. Woohoo! So you can introduce your baby to the world. But it doesn't stop there. Step 9 is market. So you can build it, but they won't come. If you build a website, there's no guarantee that Google or any visitors will actually find your website. And it's really depressing for some business owners. They've gone through all this heartache to create this website and no one actually visits. So you'll need to spend time and probably some money on promoting your website online. So you could just imagine if I had a shop in the back streets of my town and I built it. There's no guarantee. I don't have that foot traffic, unlike Facebook. I don't have that foot traffic to expose my business to. So I need to market. And step 10 is measure, tweak, and optimize. Websites should be treated as living, breathing entities. They should be updated regularly. They should be optimized and tweaked and tested and measured so that it's performing at its optimum. It's not, even though we say a basic website is a brochure site, it's not a brochure. It's not a print and then put in the bottom drawer. It's living. You need to get in and keep it up to date and post regularly. That's why a blog is so important on a website these days, because adding content to your website on a regular basis helps, keep your visitors on your website. It also helps Google find, visitors to drive to your website. So they're the 10 steps that you should think about when you're thinking about getting a website. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'm more than happy to help you out. So good luck getting your first website up for your business.